So Joe Rogan has said recently on his podcast that he would support Ron DeSantis if he were to run for president. And Kyle Kulinski of Secular Talk made a response video to this, like, I don't know, maybe a few days ago, a week ago, but bottom line is, it was an awful fucking video. He, of course, condemns DeSantis and does not defend Joe Rogan's support of DeSantis, but he still has the kid gloves on in this video, and it's fucking pathetic. Kyle says things like, I know Joe Rogan is a great guy deep down. I've talked to him on his show before. He's a progressive guy, trust me. Is he really a progressive guy, Kyle? Just because he talked to Bernie Sanders like 3 or 4 years ago? He may have held progressive positions back then, but that is so not the case now. He was shilling for ivermectin during the pandemic, said poverty is good because it's a good motivator for people, said UBI is for lazy people, and now he's coming to bat for someone like Ron fucking DeSantis. Let me ask you this, does this sound like a guy who is progressive? This is so frustrating too, because if this was literally anyone else Kyle has never associated with, saying all of the things Joe Rogan has said for the past year, or year and a half or so, Kyle would go scorched earth on them more than likely. But because Kyle has had a few friendly conversations with Joe Rogan in the past, he's got to put the kid gloves on, and refuse to outright condemn Rogan for all the stupid shit he's been saying in recent times. You can go on and on about how DeSantis is a fraud, show all the video clips you want, showcasing evidence of how DeSantis is a fraud, like what you did in your video, but it's not going to change shit. He is not your typical naive Republican voter. He is a media giant at this point. I am sure he is well aware of DeSantis' corruption at this point, but just doesn't care at all, and will lend him his support regardless. The next logical step from supporting Bernie Sanders is to not then support Ron DeSantis. If Joe Rogan truly has progressive principles like you say, then it just goes to show how paper-thin those principles really are. But this is my problem with Kyle Kulinski. He has way too much of a blind spot when it comes to people he has been friendly with in the past. Look at the Jimmy Dore situation from last year. Jimmy literally laughed on his show about making an unwanted sexual remark towards Anna Kasparian, and since Kyle was friendly with both Anna and Jimmy, he was like, well, I don't really want to pick a side, I don't want to compromise my friendship with either of these people. He made 2 whole videos on this situation just fucking waffling, and refusing to criticize either side too much. I get it, it can be hard to criticize someone you're on friendly terms with if they're acting like a moron, or saying moronic things. But when said friend begins to shill for horse dewormer as some sort of miracle cure for COVID, or say Ron DeSantis will make a good president, that's when your values begin to skew so far in a different direction from theirs. It's so obvious you're scared to lose that Rogan clout. You're too scared to criticize Joe Rogan too harshly because you're afraid that he won't invite you back onto his show. I'm sure you get a boost in subscribers and views after each time you're on Rogan's show, but then that begs the question, what is more important to you? Channel growth or your principles? Because at this point, Joe Rogan has the principles of that of a Fox News host, just with a dude bro persona. So if Kyle really is that afraid to criticize Joe Rogan too harshly solely because he thinks it'll affect his channel growth and potentially harm future appearances on his podcast, then that really says a lot about Kyle as a person, doesn't it? I think part of what is essential in being a political commentator is being able to identify when even someone you like is spewing horse shit. Because I think people would have good reason to not trust your judgment if you have such a huge blind spot when it comes to people you've been friendly with in the past. I still watch Kyle's content on occasion. I used to watch him so much back in 2019 when I was first getting into left-wing YouTubers, but I've since moved on to other political commentators such as Sam Cedar and Humanist Report. And this plays into why I don't watch Kyle so much anymore. It's fun to see him rip into Fox News, or Ben Shapiro, or Dave Rubin, or any other prominent right-wing figure, but he just gets so fucking scared when it comes to criticizing people he likes. I fucking hate spinelessness like that. And if you're too afraid to call out a friend when they say something stupid or legitimately harmful, that tells me a whole lot about your principles. Because you're perfectly okay with calling total strangers stupid, but then when a friend is saying the same exact thing you would call a stranger stupid for saying, you get scared and you're too afraid to call them out in fear of harming your relationship with them. It's just a complete lack of consistency. And I'm not even saying scream at your friend, call them a piece of shit right off the bat. You can try and guide them to hold better viewpoints, and you attempt to do that in your Joe Rogan video, But really, does Joe Rogan even think of you as a friend? He's had you on his show a couple of times, yeah, but I don't know if you two talk so much to the point where your opposition to his viewpoints means shit to him. But all in all, I'm just tired of the lack of consistency. In my book, it is far more admirable to call out a friend or even lose a friendship because of the harmful viewpoints a friend holds. Instead of going like, well, I disagree, but I'm too afraid to call this person out because they've been nice to me in the past. Fuck that shit. Grow a spine already. Same goes to you, Kyle. Cut this cowardly bullshit. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.